Austerity measures? What austerity measures? The world's billionaires are currently spending like they've never spent before.
The rich like spending their money. They just like to have the stuff.
The rich now have gone even bigger, even bolder, even more brash. Everything you could desire, they've got.
It's as if there's a constant itch that they scratch, and then they have the itch and it comes back and they scratch it.
Last year, the hyper-rich spent over £1 trillion on luxury goods and services. For many free-spending billionaires, life has become a gold-plated trolley dash.
You know, people have just gone to enormous trouble to find something that they can spend a great deal of money on.
Watches, jewellery, planes, canvas after canvas of great artwork, all getting snapped up like they're going out of fashion.
The amount of money that is spent on contemporary art is absolutely extraordinary.
If you're super rich and super wealthy, you can afford fabulous stuff.
One of our high net worth clients brought some of the finest wine in the world with him, which I know in a restaurant costs about $10,000 a bottle. And I would think we probably had at least 50 bottles there.
I've seen unique timepieces being targeted directly at the billionaire community, valuing in excess of $1 million US.
There's no shortage of spending power out there. It's just in a very few select hands.
What a special treat that was. I mean, to see 1.5 million wildebeest and drink it down with 1982 Chateau Petrus, that's life, right?
In 2013, the ultra-wealthy managed to spend £150 billion on luxury brands, a 25% increase on the previous year.
The real super rich have been brought up to be beautifully behaved, and then the kind of nouveau spoilt ones who want to show off their wealth, and having a gold-encrusted tortoise with jewels set in its back running around your stately home, and then riding on a solid gold bicycle. It's all about conspicuous consumption.
There's only so much you can spend money on. Where it starts to get absurd is when you start having diamond-encrusted, you know, forks and knives, which can't even touch water.
But the super rich rarely just buy off the peg. When bling is your thing, it's the astonishing one-offs you commission that will set you apart from the billionaire pack.
But people fly all the way to Dubai just to go look at the jewelry section. It's extraordinary. I strongly recommend it if you've got nothing else to do.
There's more wealth in the world than ever before. There's more people with that wealth ever before. Therefore, there's more competitive bidding than ever before. The most expensive diamond at the moment that's been sold at auction is the Graf Pink.
40,500,000 francs, the world record price for a jeweller's auction, selling it sold.
The Elizabeth Taylor Pellegrina pearl that went for $11 million. I mean, obviously it has the provenance of Elizabeth Taylor, which is hugely valuable. Now, if you said to me 2 years ago that one pearl would fetch that kind of money, I'd say you must be barking. But it has, it's happened already.
But why the huge compulsion to spend on all that glitters, no matter the cost?
Throughout history, people have wanted to display their wealth, and before, it was because that was the only way of knowing who was king, who was queen. The only time you would know that was the Queen of Sheba was if she was on her gold throne, covered in emeralds.
Even in the modern age, the glittery throne exists. High-end bathroom designers Catchpole and Rye cater for modern-day Cleopatras. They even have a creation for them to pour their semi-skimmed into, the bejeweled bath.
There is certainly a large clientele in the Middle East. They want to impress their friends, want to show them something that's completely wacky, off the wall, bizarre. To some extent, it may even be competitive, that they're trying to, shock.
First thing people do when they have lots of money is commission bespoke individual pieces, crazy gold bathrooms and all that horrendous taste as in dictators' houses.
They want their friends, relatives to see how much money they spent. It's not something that you're trying to, tuck away in a corner.
And this crystal bath does draw a lot of admirers. but you have to be awash with cash to actually afford it.
Well, it's £150,000, which may seem quite a lot of money, but the bath has got 22,000 Swarovski crystals on it, which are all hand-applied, which takes quite a long time, I can tell you that.
There is a market out there for these bathroom behemoths, namely Tamara Eccleston. She splashed out £1 million on a bespoke bath made from white rock crystals sourced from the Amazon. But that figure does include the cost of reinforcing her bathroom floor so that it wouldn't fall into the sitting room below.
I think it's a very nice bathtub. I wish her lots of nice baths.
For sheer out-there bling, there are even more remarkable products on offer, especially for billionaire babies. After all, if you're going to live in a gilded cage, why not start life in this gold-plated cot? With a diamond and rose gold encrusted dummy. And, of course, a gold-plated milk bottle. Total cost, £365,000.
I think people buy these absurd creations because they believe others are buying them. The uber-rich man doesn't want to feel that they are in some way inadequate.
But these very conspicuous consumers can fall prey to a syndrome known as perfection anxiety.
The problem is when you have so much, then you actually start losing the pleasure in small things. And so you kind of end up demanding more and more and more. And so anything short of perfection can be a disappointment.
There's almost no knowing where it ends. And of course, there are lots of willing collaborators. I mean, people who will serve the needs of your feckless, restless, acquisitive billionaire. There are people who will sell you mobile phones encrusted, with jewels. I've even heard of a gold vacuum cleaner.
This most regal of all domestic appliances retails at $1 million. But who's the real sucker?
I think as people become more educated, then they realise that there's more to life than gold-encrusted hoovers.
I should think a lot of my super-rich clients would not know what to do with a hoover.
So the cleaner knows you're a billionaire of exquisite taste, but what about your peers? At some point, you're going to have to step out of the door, and so you're going to need a suit, but not any old suit.
They will always look to buy the most expensive, no matter what the quality.
When they become more discreet and then realise that there's a whole raft of old wealth which they're better off fitting in with, I think that's when they probably gravitate towards Savile Row.
London's Savile Row has been a bastion of bespoke tailoring for nearly 200 years, providing the finest threads to the super-rich.
Billionaires chase something that's unique because it can't be one-upped. It can't be beaten by their peers. It can't be beaten by spending more money.
It's all about utter discretion and the feeling of luxury where it's the touch and obviously the cut which fits you impeccably. Some of the cloth houses travel the world and get some cloth which is hand-picked by nomads in the Arctic Circle. It's called crevest, some very unusual animal, and it only molts at a certain season. It has to be picked up by hand. Starts out at about £5,000 a metre, so you need the cloth for a suit is over 15,000 just to start off with. So they're the kind of stories I think that appeal to the super rich. I mean, it's fantastic.
Coming up, the sweet smell of success at a price to make even a billionaire's eyes water.
The perfumes are completely exclusive to them. Nobody else can have that. But I think sort of £10,000 is acceptable to so many people.
And spending on befriending makes for costly business.
The fastest way to make friends is to buy art. And if you stop buying art, you're off the list.
Billionaires are having to spend more than ever before to stand out from their peers. They want a smell of money, and for that, as always, there's a solution for the right price. Azzy Glasser is a bespoke perfume designer to the hyper-rich.
Most of my clients are extremely wealthy. You know, it's not cheap to have a bespoke perfume made for them because it's more valuable to say you smell good than, you know, you look good. It's an emotional feeling.
For Azzy, stirring the emotions involves blending some very unusual ingredients.
Ambergris, for example, comes from, it's the whale's spit. When you smell this particular note, you'll smell it and you think, oh my God, that's disgusting. I'm not going to have that in my perfume. So that's why it's not always good to show everyone all the individual ingredients.
Probably best not. And for some hyper-wealthy clients, smelling the perfume simply isn't enough. They also want people to see it.
She wanted the perfume to look glamorous on the skin as well as smell glamorous and have all this sort of sexual power around her. So anyway, I found out when they make diamonds, you know, the diamond dust, they throw the diamond dust away. And I put it into her perfume, and it was wonderful. So when she got this bottle of perfume, it's got diamond, you shake it a bit, you spray it on, it looks like she's wearing $1 million worth of diamonds. And she was the happiest woman ever. The perfumes are completely exclusive to them, nobody else can have that. So the price range in my bespoke perfumes do range between, say, £10,000 and £20,000. And I have done some perfumes that are much more than that, actually, sort of up to the £50,000 mark. You know, it just does depend. But I think sort of £10,000 is acceptable to so many people.
You smell $1 million. Well, 50,000 at least. And it's time to get out there and mingle with your fellow billionaires.
There are 2,235 billionaires worldwide. Your average billionaire has 9 known associates who are worth more than $30 million US. And then, in addition to that, they have 3 individuals that they will know very closely who are also billionaires. So they tend to mix in similar circles.
You want to be in the billionaires club. I mean, I think that's really a good point. I think people really do now define themselves. You know, are you in the hundreds of millions, or are you a billionaire? There's definitely a real sense that that's a club which people want to be part of.
And there's one token of membership that no billionaire can do without.
The fastest way to make friends is to buy art. The new wealth, which is largely what we're talking about here, can collect contemporary, and that's for several reasons. One, they can get their head around it, right? You don't need to understand the history of Western civilization to look at, you know, polka dots by Damien Hirst.
For the super wealthy, big names are really where it's at. Warhol, Pollock, Monet. To buy an average Warhol now will set you back in the region of, well, starting at about 22 million. To put it in perspective, the most expensive painting ever sold at auction was to the Qatari royal family, and it was Paul Cézanne's The Card Players. That sold for $250 million. That is $250 million.
Art is an astonishingly expensive way to become one of the gang. And spending-wise, don't forget to budget for your own resident expert.
The super wealthy individual or family will generally have an art advisor or art curator. By using curators, the super wealthy can educate themselves and show others their sophisticated level of taste.
The super rich that you are entertaining will be reluctant to ask you questions about your art because by doing so they may reveal their own ignorance. So they just have to nod knowingly and appreciatively, which is perfect.
The whole point is it's this exclusive world of very, very beautiful people that make you feel good about yourself.
And you could imagine a super rich man standing next to a painting, almost wanting to become part of it, or wanting the associations that people make with the painting to be made to him. So it's an effort to try and keep good company with wealth.
You suddenly feel I am in this privileged group, I'm at this amazing dinner. And along with that comes all sorts of other invitations. And that's enough. I mean, the fact that you'll never see these people again, if you stop buying art, you're off the list.
For the billionaire who views himself as more a man of the people, a fabulous way to spend enormous amounts of money is in the populist world of sport.
To invest in a football team, nowadays, you have to be a billionaire several times over. It's a bit of wad-waving, you know, you're showing who's got the most power over all the other billionaires who've got their own teams.
Owning a sports team is an opportunity to buy yourself a huge popularity in the way that a Roman emperor would, you know, at the Colosseum.
You have this feeling with that amount of money that you're invincible, that you're powerful, you can do anything, you know? And then with that you find their manners can go, the way they talk down to people.
Well, they're definitely to be avoided, those people. But there are probably a lot of them who are spoilt by wealth. But you just feel sorry for them, really.
These billionaires buying up these clubs could go back to their school days where, you know, they may not have made the team. They may have been the last person picked.
If a football team is on its knees and dwindling and a billionaire buys that and restores its fortunes, then in that vicinity, they are heroic.
It's great when your team are going up. As soon as their performance starts to deteriorate, fans are very unforgiving.
The fans have tired of you, so what is the sporty billionaire to dabble in next? Well, why not the sport of kings?
To own a horse of significance allows you to become part of history, because the horse will win the great races and then will produce offspring that may well also win the great races. So you weave your name into the fabric of a sport.
Well, I guess the only way that anybody can know that you've arrived is by the company you keep.
Investing in horses is one of the more rational extravagances of the super rich, because there is a purpose to it. You want to win races, you want to succeed at Royal Ascot and be introduced to the Queen and be on the front page of the Daily Telegraph.
When people think of horse racing, they think of here. This is where it all started. It's buying a piece of brand GB.
The capital outlay can be anything up to 10 million. The horse that costs 10 million will still cost you 15,000 to run. The accommodation could involve oak doors, gold fittings, stables which could be easily decked out into pretty acceptable five-star hotel rooms.
5-star sounds perfect. All you need now is a horse. The trouble is, to get your hands on decent bloodstock, you're going to have to duel with the financial thoroughbreds.
Horse auctions are unusual in that the super rich don't really like to attend Chris's, Sotheby's or wherever, but bloodstock auctions are a much more sociable affair, and you do see the Maktoum family there in person and you see the Qatari royal family there in person, which adds to the compulsion to spend because it becomes a mini drama in its own right.
505 from the purchaser to thank you all very much indeed. 5 million buys.
The auctioneer will goad the potential bidders and even suggest that they may have inadequate wealth in order to elicit one final bid from them.
The problem with horse racing, of course, is that there's always a gamble to be had. And the risk is not just for the trackside punters.
1980s was the first time that Sheikh Mohammed of Dubai got involved in racing and owning horses. And he went to the sales and took on this great sort of bidding duel for a son of Northern Dancer, who was a star stallion at the time. And that horse sold for, I think, $10.5 million. It was called Snaffy Dancer and was absolutely useless. And to make even matters worse, they thought, oh, well, we'll send him off to stud. And he was infertile at stud. So it was, you know, that's what can happen when you spend that much money.
Coming up, when a bespoke Bentley isn't enough, how is a billionaire to impress his wife?
What we are actually putting it in is a full-size Tiffany-style gift box, which has never been seen or done before.
Lift it a bit. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And the super rich cozy up to their new best friends.
I mean, are these people really friends? No. It's all incredibly venal and commercial.
We all worry about what to buy our loved ones, but for billionaires, the problem's on another scale. Because when your spouse already has everything, what's left to give? To answer this thorny question, billionaires turn to Alex Martin, purveyor of bespoke luxury.
The mission today is to create, effectively, a very unique gift for one of our very special clients.
No, you lined up, huh? You lined up, it's just my foot, right? It's under it, so if I move my foot...
My particular client, they're Russian, and this is actually for his wife, and this is something very special that he wanted to create for her.
Let's give it a pull.
He explained that he would like to buy a unique car, a Tiffany painted Bentley. Just the paint for it to put on the car is £15,000.
That's more than a mid-range family hatchback just for the Tiffany blue. But the car is done. Today is all about the wrapping. It's a trial run for a gift that's going to be unveiled as a surprise birthday present at the Ritz Hotel.
And what we are actually putting it in is a full-size Tiffany-style gift box, which has never been seen or done before.
Get your little bracket inside. How's that? You want the hinges or not?
The purpose of today is to do a proper test run. There's a lot of pressure. We've had a lot of issues.
That's what I like to see.
We have no idea how to create something like this. We've literally just made it from scratch. I currently still don't know if it's going to work.
Are you doing the front or not?
Yeah, I did it, but I heard a crack.
Do it again.
We're screwed in, that's why.
The cost for the box, it's kind of gone on and on. Let's put it this way. So far, there's not much change of 20,000, but we'll see where we end up in the end.
Lift it a bit. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, it's catching the roof dropping too much.
Well, that the life out of me.
With no one quite sure what's about to happen, it's time for the moment of truth.
You've got 18 inches this side, 18 both side up, 18 both side.
I'm confident that the car's going to be okay. I don't think Alec would have put the car in there if it was going to be a problem.
Am I in enough at the back?
Fingers crossed, they're not about to put the Bent in Bentley.
One sec with the smoke. Yeah, I can't see. Can't breathe. Wait, you got to wait, you got to wait.
Wait. Everybody hold it.
I'm trying to put the pins in.
Oh, okay.
Right, ready?
That's nice, huh?
Some people think, you're mad, why are you doing this? However, I'm sure that if anyone received the world's only Tiffany blue Bentley, you'd be pretty happy, as long as the box doesn't land on the car.
Worked, didn't it?
You're a billionaire player. You've got the perfect gift and the perfect gift wrap to prove it. Now, you need to party like only the hyper-wealthy can.
When I was a photographer, I went on a tour of nightclubs around the world, photographing the super rich enjoying themselves. Everyone would be sitting in their banquette areas with their Cristal champagne, and when they ordered another bucket of it, some beautiful waitress would come with sparklers through the nightclub, so everyone knew that this person was ordering another £50,000 worth of champagne.
Huge bottles of Bollinger just spraying on people, wasting £5 at a time. It's just mad. But they're showy, but they're proud of it.
And when you're a billionaire, why just spray your mates when you can get a celebrity involved? For the right price, of course.
They do want to show off their wealth, so getting the top pop stars who you know are incredibly famous to sing at your party gives you massive kudos.
Celebrity is a big currency in the super rich. If you've all got more money than you can ever spend, the one thing that you can do to show off to each other is to produce a celebrity friend who your friend doesn't have.
The names that people will book: Elton John, Rod Stewart, Cher does these events as well. Shania Twain is coming back to do these now. So there's a number of really big acts that'll go out and do these shows.
It's all part of the business they call show. And when the hyper-wealthy are paying, the celebrities know exactly what's required of them. The works.
When these billionaire clients have these private events, the artist will normally become a little bit more a part of the event itself, not just perform and disappear. It could be a meet and greet after the show. There could be a meet and greet before the show. They'll take pictures, they'll hang out, they'll come to the dinner perhaps and take some pictures with the guests.
The Billionaires' fee-powered celebrity pal is turning it on, and the party's jumping. Great expense is creating incalculable kudos. Only for the billionaire, there can be no doubt at all how much this newfound street cred is costing him.
For some of these acts, you're looking at a fee of somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 to $2 million. So by comparison to either the overall cost of the party or the net worth of the high net worth individual, you know, these are really just a drop in the bucket.
And sometimes, just sometimes, the next performance might be on the house.
These billionaires more often than not have common interests with these artists, whether it be art, and can very well strike up a friendship that could last forever.
I was at a party, actually, in Moscow. And actually, this particular party, it was totally ridiculous. These huge chaps came out, and they wheeled out a cake, which was, I don't know, 10 foot across, 15 foot high. Proper cake with candles and everything on it. And it looked amazing. Everyone was clapping. It's fantastic. And I think the wife came to cut a slice. And then, it's unbelievable, completely just out of the movies, a naked girl popped out of the top. They were referencing the famous gangsters of the Al Capone period with girls jumping out of cakes. So it amuses everyone. Whether it kind of makes them more interesting people or not is beside the point.
I think there is a one-upmanship, if you will, between the billionaires, where if they see somebody perform at a party, they want to make sure they have somebody of at least comparable size, if not bigger, to make their party that much better and that much more memorable.
It's a way of saying, I've got more money than you, and my friends are bigger than you too. So there's a huge arms race in the picking up of celebrity friends too. Yeah. And the way they do that is by offering them toys and holidays and, you know, stuff.
But the people who are paying for them don't kind of realise, they think that they're in with the kind of cool, rich set, which they are, really. It's just where the people are having, where the laugh is coming from, where people can see the people spending their money to be with them.
It's all incredibly venal and commercial. I mean, are these people really friends? No.
For the billionaire looking to dazzle his guests, there is a way to top even A-list celebrities. After all, what better way to prove you're the king than to have your very own court jester?
A lot of my clients are billionaires who want me to make fun of them and their friends. Sometimes I'm hired to do a special song, a tribute to someone who's being honored, and I speak to their wives, mistresses, and everyone to get a complete picture of who they are, and then I skewer them in public.
In the Hamptons, fashionable playground of New York's super rich, a roasting by Christopher Mason is proof that you have truly arrived.
The idea is to poke fun at the guests and also poke fun at the whole institution of Southampton as this absurd carousel, this rich man's playground.
And a spate of Wall Street scandals has given Christopher plenty of material.
Southampton has tremendous flair, white-collar felons everywhere. If you don't have friends who've been to jail, your social life may be a little stale. It's funny, with these people, it's become such a norm. It doesn't seem so surprising to go to a dinner party and see someone who was in prison just a few days earlier, and they're just welcomed back into the fold. There's a frisson of scandal.
Needless to say, when billionaires are banged up in this epicenter of capitalism, there's a perfectly legal way to sweeten your time inside.
There's an astonishing league of people out there known as prison consultants, and it's like a sort of restaurant guide, exclusive restaurant guide to the best prisons in the system. So, for instance, if you like to play a lot of tennis, they can guide you to a federal prison that actually has tennis courts. It's bizarre.
Coming up, tiring of their toys, billionaires find new ways to splash their cash.
They don't want to show how much money they've got. They want to experience the world, and they want to show their wealth through experience. But at the same time, yes, they do want their drinks chilled.
And 7-star luxury on a super-rich safari.
Where would you source a bottle of Chateau Lafite from?
We'll have to source it in South Africa.
Mm-hmm. These are the things that only money can buy.
You might think you want to be a billionaire, but you really don't. They have everything money can buy, but herein lies a problem. The trappings of wealth can become traps for the wealthy.
Billionaires are very different from most people, and they already have about 6 homes.
They have a beach home, they have a ski home, they have a city home, they have many homes.
The pursuit of things isn't really things that make people happy. You know, people actually feel more fulfilled and happier by doing things rather than having things.
When they get to a certain amount of money, they actually just get a bit bored. They've actually bought everything. I mean, there's only so big a super yacht that you can have. There's only so many Ferraris or Maseratis or Rolls Royces that you can have. So you reach saturation point.
So what is the bored billionaire to do? The answer, it would seem, is to spend your millions not on things, but on once-in-a-lifetime experiences.
They quite enjoy something that money can't buy. It's moments for them that are the key thing. Things that they'll remember with their families forever, such as taking a billionaire to play tennis with Rafa Nadal, or having dinner in Versailles. Things that money couldn't buy them without the access. And I think that is driving the billionaire's taste for experience.
Instead of buying a £45,000 handbag, they're buying a once-in-a-lifetime, or multiple times in a lifetime for certain guests, experience. Everything is possible at a price.
I want to go to the Oscars. I want to be invited to the Oscars. How do I get invited to the Oscars? Very difficult, by the way.
It's all about the insider access. In Florence, it's possible to go to the Accademia after hours and have dinner, just you and your loved one, at the feet of Michelangelo's David. These are experiences that the average person would not even dream was possible.
In 2013, the super rich spent £300 billion on one-of-a-kind adventures. For luxury travel agents and fixers, it's a fabulous opportunity to get creative.
A client came to us with the most magical brief and said, look, I want to have the party to end all parties. But, he said, I'm bored of tents in the garden. I'm bored of the arms race of having ever more flowers, ever more musicians, Elton John on a Perspex piano hanging above a super yacht in Cannes. You know, that is not me. What can you do?
Well, you could do worse than kick off by basing your 60 guests in one of the most luxurious hotels in the world, the Amangena in Marrakesh.
Well, Amangena is extraordinarily exclusive, and you feel that you've been transported to another world. It's where all of the A-listers you've ever heard of go. It's very understated. To take the Amangena for a weekend, to take it in its entirety, is around £300,000.
But I think we could have a really natural, very high quality, but very natural evening. Yeah. And I was thinking long trestle tables, beautifully lit trees.
The fact that this is lush, I think maybe we do move it from that first location and put it here.
You then look at the foods, the wines, the different services, the entertainment, how they might get there, where they might go from there, and you begin to build this extraordinary event.
But for the super rich, 7-star luxury is commonplace. Lateral thinking is required to make this birthday party truly unique. So, how about an excursion into the desert for an evening of roughing it? Well, sort of. Dinner for 60 on a cliff top.
So I think if we were to be here, we're going to have to start building some sort of staging when the ground's really uneven. And I think whilst we want a rugged experience, it's got to be comfortable. So
We've also got to get a kitchen in here as well. This is Morocco, and you have to think about every worst-case scenario there is. If you build a tented camp in the desert, you have to have a whole hotel waiting, probably empty, so that if there's a sandstorm in the desert, you scrap what could have cost you £100,000 to set up. You scrap that evening altogether, and you have an alternative event in a hotel that you've got there waiting for you.
Well, the budget for this event is anything between £500,000 and £1 million. So we have a ceiling of £1 million. It's about creating the moments.
So as they arrive in here, they'd be able to see this row of Berber women with drums and cymbals banging, and they ululate.
Luxury used to be all about gold taps. It used to be about show. It used to be about consumption. That's changed. They don't want to show how much money they've got. They want to experience the world, and they want to show their wealth through experience. They want the wilderness. They want that rawness. But at the same time, yes, they do want their drinks chilled.
It's not just going on a luxury holiday anymore. It's about the experience and what you can bring back, the bragging rights that you can use at dinner parties with your friends, etc. Those are the things that it's still okay to brag about travel. You know, you don't brag about, you know, cars or watches or real estate, but you can brag about where you went on holiday.
It's about creating a moment in time that their money can't buy anymore. I think what they're looking for a lot of the time is a way to escape.
Having unlimited wealth does enable you to travel into extreme areas. I mean, they are submarines that are capable of going right down to the bottom of the ocean and seeing creatures that no one's seen before.
One of the strangest requests we ever had was a lady who wanted to complete a life's ambition, which was to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, which, by the way, isn't easy. It's 19,432 feet high, highest mountain, of course, in Africa. And she said she wasn't very fit either. So we said, okay. We ended up carrying the lady to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro, to Uhuru Point. And then she'd been carrying a little bag all the way up. And we said, why is she carrying that bag? And the last bit, she said, one moment, and she took out of the bag some red Manolo Blahnik shoes and put them on and had pictures of herself taken on it.
High on the super-rich wish list is the bespoke safari. But here, billionaires face a dilemma. They crave new experiences, but they demand luxury. That's where Annabelle Wilson comes in. It's her job to make sure that there's nothing beastly but the beasties greeting the billionaires when they venture off the beaten track.
Every single hotel and property that we recommend to our clients has been personally visited and rated on over 400 different criteria. And that's going the extra step to really create a real sense of arrival.
I love your very modern-looking linen mosquito nets. This feels like a really nice, good quality, high thread count cotton. I love the wide open plan feel here. Okay. That smells really nice.
The hotel must be primed to cater for any and every super-rich whim.
Where would you source a bottle of Chateau Lafite from?
We'll have to source it in South Africa. To put it on a plane, to fly all the way to Pompoma Strip, and then we'll have to boat it all the way and drive it in to get it here.
We have clients that have a wish list that is this long. For instance, someone asking to repaint a room in a certain color because it's their favorite color. So we've even had people wanting to bring their own bed because they only sleep in a particular bed.
Arriving in Botswana today, but braving it without their own bed, are investment banker Mark and interior designer Nikki. This wealthy couple have been on various wildlife-focused holidays, but this trip, costing £9,000 a day, is their first African safari.
We all like material things. Everyone does, you know. You can't really say that you don't. I just think here is just totally different. Animals and wildlife are a strong passion of mine. A trip like this is a must for me.
These special experiences do stay with you forever, and possessions might not.
Of course, the beautiful things, the champagne in the canoe at sunset, of course, those are all parts of the experience. But what really brings it home and what really differentiates it is something beyond just the trappings of ordinary luxury.
I think ultra net worth people want to go on safari because wealth divorces them for much of their life from actual reality. And when they come on safari, this is a very primal experience. It's not going to a wine cellar and buying a bottle of great wine.
On this holiday, you even get your own conservationist.
I wanted to show you both some statistics from 2007 to 2013 of rhino poaching incidents. Last year, we had over 1,000 rhino poached in South Africa.
The reaction you get from them, and it is a very emotive one, and it often involves a lot of tears at the end of these trips. And it is a life-changing moment, and it changes the course of the way they think about life.
Another incredible super-rich holiday draws to a close. And you have to wonder if there's anything money can't buy. Priceless art, jewellery to die for, rock crystal baths, perfumes infused with diamond dust, even life-changing moments. It's all on tap for those with deep enough pockets. But does this phenomenal power to purchase ultimately deliver what all human beings crave?
For my taste, too much of billionaire activity can be described as vulgar, and vulgar doesn't make people happy.
I come across people who spend excessively thinking it's going to make them feel good, and then they actually discover that it makes them feel worse.
They've shown that money and happiness are only correlated up to $70,000 a year. More than $70,000, like, oh my gosh, I got to deal with this, and the happiness level, the daily happiness level feels lower.
It can be really easy to view people who have great financial wealth as living in a fairy tale. And yet, it's all in the eye of the beholder. Nobody gets to live life on easy street. No one, including billionaires.